Rain hit the city like a falling war. Dalcroze, sleek towers, glowing signs, endless motion. The city never slept. Not because it couldn't, but because something always hunted in the dark. Beneath its perfect chrome smile, monsters moved like shadows, some in suits, some with fangs, others still wearing the skin of people they once were. The rain didn't stop Riven. Boots pounding rooftop to rooftop, he moved like a ghost with muscle, tall, broad, soaked through his jacket, but eyes focused. His heartbeat matched the electric pulse of the skyline. Thunder boomed. It didn't faze him. This wasn't his first job. He wasn't scared of the city. He was scared of what waited outside it. Beyond the east barrier, where the lights gave up and the dome cracked into wilderness, lay the no zone, a place swallowed by weeds, rot, and long-forgotten crimes. The job was simple. Retrieve the body. No questions. Big payout. But Riven wasn't stupid. Nothing outside the city ever stayed dead. He reached the edge of the dome, passed through the rusted checkpoint, and entered a world that stank of mold, smoke, and memory. Vines choked the wreckage of what used to be suburbs. Burned-out cars. Torn playgrounds. Silence so deep it felt like it watched him back. And then he saw her. She was nailed to a broken iron cross. The vampire girl. Not a skeleton. Not dust. She was whole, her skin pale and unbroken, lips parted slightly like she was whispering to someone in a dream. A long black iron stake pierced her chest, driven through her body into cracked stone. Her arms hung limp. Her eyes, strangely bright, glowing red, were open. Wide open. He stepped closer. Lightning flashed. Her eyes moved. Just slightly. "No way," Riven whispered. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was staked 20 years ago. Left as a warning. Every record said she was gone. Deactivated. Just bones and skin. But she was looking at him. "Do you want to die?" she asked, voice like broken glass. Riven froze. She was awake. Her eyes locked with his, not pleading, not afraid, just knowing. Like she had seen him before. Like she'd been waiting. "I was told you were dead," Riven said low. "I was," she replied, "until you came." He glanced at the stake. It pulsed faintly, old tech, coated in some metal and dark sigils. Still humming after 2 decades. If he pulled it out, she could kill him in seconds. That's what vampires did. But she didn't feel like a monster. She felt like a secret that wanted to scream. She whispered again, "Do it." Riven clenched his teeth, grabbed the stake. "You'd better not bite me." She smiled. "If I do, I deserve to die." He pulled. The iron screamed, then snapped free. The moment it left her chest, the air changed. Her back arched, and she gasped like drowning. Rain hissed against her skin as steam rose off her body. She collapsed forward, into his arms, and then she whispered, "They lied to you." "What are you talking about?" Riven asked. "I didn't kill the Sanctum Council," she said. Her voice was shaking now, not from weakness, but memory. "I watched them die, and the one who did it was a werewolf." Riven's blood turned cold. She looked up at him with glowing eyes and said one name, a name no one was allowed to speak. Ulrich. And in that moment, Riven knew. This wasn't a job anymore. It was a beginning. And the city of Dalcroze would never be the same. Riven drove a stolen cycle through the neon backways of Dalcroze, wind slicing past like razors. Mira clung to his back, cold as ice, silent the whole ride. Her skin was still pale. Her breath was slow, almost non-existent. But her eyes, those red, haunted eyes, never stopped scanning the city. "Where are we going?" she asked over the roar of the wind. "Someplace they won't look," Riven muttered. "Yet." He didn't tell her that alarms had already gone off the second her body moved. Dalcroze didn't forget monsters. And Mira? She wasn't just a vampire. She was an event. They reached the lower levels, where the city slept under its own weight. Cracked pipes, flickering lights, walls tagged with blood-coated graffiti. Riven ducked the bike into a maintenance tunnel and stopped. The hum of the engine died. Mira slid off the bike. She was weak, shaking. But her movements had grace, like she was made of liquid shadow. 20 years I was out there, she said softly. I watched the city grow over its sins. Riven stared at her. Let's cut to it. What do you mean Ulrich killed the council? Mira looked at him, really looked. You know the name. He hesitated. Everyone knows the name, and everyone knows not to say it. Ulrich was a ghost in the werewolf archives. No pictures, no stories, just a file marked Black Class, and a warning, do not dig. Mira stepped closer. I was there the night the sanctum burned. They called me in for peace talks. Said I was a symbol of unity. I didn't know they were being hunted. By a werewolf? Riven asked. She nodded. Not just any. Your kind called him the Moon Reaper, but to me he was something else. What? My creator. Riven flinched. What are you saying? I'm not just a vampire, she said, lifting her arm. A faint shimmer rippled across her skin, fur, just for a second, then gone. I'm hybrid. The word hit the air like a bomb. Hybrids weren't real, or so they were told. Legends said the first vampire-werewolf crossbreeds went mad and died in blood rage. But Mira stood there, breathing, talking, remembering. You think you know your bloodline, she said. But Ulrich made me in a lab. The council found out. They wanted me destroyed before others followed. So you were the weapon, Riven muttered. No, I was the prototype. Suddenly, the tunnel lights snapped red. Sirens wailed from somewhere above. Mira's head turned sharply. They'd found us. Not yet, Riven growled. He reached into a steel locker nearby and pulled out a serrated blade, a werewolf's blood-steel dagger. But they're coming. What happens if they catch us? She asked. He looked at her, blade in hand, eyes burning. It won't take you, he said. They'll kill me first, for helping. She stepped forward. You don't have to protect me. Riven hesitated. Then I don't think I'm protecting you. I think I'm protecting the truth. The ground rumbled. Above, drones whirred past like steel insects. Echoes of heavy boots. Somewhere a voice shouted, Target confirmed. Move in. They locked eyes. Ready, he asked. Mira bared her fangs not in threat, but in defiance. Let them come. And as the shadows closed in, the hunted girl and the reluctant wolf stood side by side. Two monsters, one truth. And Dalcroze was about to learn it the hard way. The wind roared through the underground rail shaft like a monster trying to scream. Riven's boots slammed against the steel floor of the forgotten Metro 16 line. Dust blew from every vent. Overhead, flickering lights fought to stay alive. This tunnel had been dead for years, since the war between the vampire clans and the werewolf guilds turned it into a no-man's land. But now it led to the vault. The place Mira saw in the soldier's mind. Mira walked ahead, quiet as a shadow, her long coat fluttering behind her. Blood from the last battle still stained her hands, but her eyes were locked forward, glowing red with purpose. We're close, she said, voice low. How can you tell? Riven asked. I can feel them. My kind, sleeping, waiting. The tunnel narrowed into a high-security freight corridor, lined with rusted access panels and sealed blast doors. Mira approached the final barrier. Its surface gleamed, deep black alloy reinforced with solar core titanium. Riven whistled. That's old sanctum tech. Not sanctum, she whispered. Ulrich. She placed her hand against the door. Nothing happened. Riven stepped up. Let me try. But the moment he reached forward, Mira's eyes widened. Wait. The door flared. A blinding pulse of blue light shot through the corridor, slamming them both backward. Riven hit the wall hard, blood at the corner of his mouth. Mira growled, pulling herself up fast. That was a bloodlock, she muttered. Only someone like me can open it. You mean a hybrid? She nodded. Riven watched as Mira bit her own wrist, crimson dripping from her palm. She smeared the blood across the center of the door. It sizzled like acid. Symbols began to glow, one by one like something ancient waking up. The door hissed. Then slowly it opened. Inside was a chamber that hummed with quiet power. Pale blue tubes lined the walls, each one holding a figure, humanoid but not human. Some looked like Mira. Others were larger, more beast than person. Claws, fangs, glowing veins, 7 in total. Mira's breath caught. "They're all here," she whispered. Riven stepped inside cautiously. Why were they sealed? They weren't ready, Mira said. Ulrich left them in stasis until their mutations stabilized. But something went wrong. He never came back for them. Suddenly, a siren rang through the vault, sharp, urgent, alive. Mira spun around. They triggered a failsafe. From the far end of the chamber, a wall cracked open, revealing a sleek security bot, 10 feet tall, coated in silver armor and fitted with sunbeam cannons. It charged instantly. Mira leaped toward it, fast as lightning, but the bot fired. A beam caught her shoulder, burning skin and cloth. She hit the floor hard, teeth bared in pain. Riven didn't hesitate. He rushed the bot, using his enhanced werewolf strength to slam into it. Sparks flew. His dagger plunged into the machine's neck, but it didn't fall. It threw him across the room like a toy. Mira rose again, growling low. Her eyes flared, and for the first time, her full power awakened. Her body shifted, part shadow, part beast. Black wings of smoke unfurled behind her. She screamed, and the vault shook. In one final charge, she tore through the bot, ripping its core from the chest. The machine sparked, twisted, and died. Silence returned. Riven limped over, watching as Mira collapsed to her knees. "You okay?" She nodded. "We have to wake them. All of them." "But what happens when they wake up?" he asked. She looked at the 7 pods, eyes fierce. "Then we show this city what it tried to bury." Behind her, the stasis pods began to blink, one by one. The future was about to rise. And it had fangs. Down in the industrial sector, inside an abandoned biotech lab buried beneath collapsed towers, Mira stood surrounded by 7 hybrids, awake now, breathing, still blinking away the fog of sleep. Each one was different. One had stone-gray skin and eyes like diamonds. Another had retractable wings made of living bone. The youngest, a girl no older than 12, sat quietly, her heartbeat echoing in everyone's ears like a drum, somehow stronger than the others. Riven leaned against the wall, exhausted but alert. His shoulder was bandaged. He hadn't said much since the vault, but his eyes never left Mira. "These are your brothers and sisters," he finally said. "What now?" Mira stared at the group. Her voice was calm but firm. "We were made for war. That's what Ulrich wanted. But we're not weapons. We're truth. Walking proof that everything they taught the world was a lie." A tall hybrid stepped forward. His name was Karin, thick arms, short horns curling from his forehead, voice like thunder. "You brought us back. But for what? Revenge?" Mira shook her head. "For choice. For freedom." Another, a girl with white dreadlocks and electric blue veins, narrowed her eyes. "And what if we don't want peace?" Mira didn't flinch. "Then you'll have to go through me." The room went silent. No one moved. But slowly, one by one, they bowed their heads. She wasn't just their leader. She was their anchor, their flame. Suddenly, the wall monitor lit up. An encrypted transmission forced its way onto the screen. Static. Then a voice, clipped, cold, familiar. "Surgeon Kale." Broadcasting from an airship high above the city. "To the one called Mira, you have broken containment. You are now classified as an extinction threat. Turn yourself in, and your allies may be spared." The screen flickered again. A satellite view showed Riven's apartment, blown apart, charred, empty. Then another. A public park in Sector 3, surrounded by soldiers, where a teenage vampire girl knelt, shackled. "We have your friend Lyra, one of the few left from your old house. Surrender or she dies at dawn." The screen went black. Riven slammed his fist into the wall. "They're baiting you. They know you'll go." Mira's face was stone. "They're right. You can't do it alone," he said. Corin stepped forward again. "Then we won't let her." Riven looked around the room. 7 hybrids. 1 werewolf. 1 vampire. A broken alliance from a war no one wanted to remember. But maybe that's how it had to start. Again. "Then we fight smart," Riven said. "Not like monsters. Like soldiers." Mira nodded slowly. "Then we move before dawn. We take Lyra back." As she turned to her new family, her voice deepened. Not just with power, but with command. "No more hiding. No more cages. The city called us threats. Now it's time to show them what we really are." From the dark corners of the lab, each hybrid stepped forward. Claws, wings, shifting eyes. And as thunder rolled across the skyline, Mira raised her hand. "Tonight, we rise." And the howl that followed wasn't just a call to battle. It was a declaration. The night was breathing. Above the city, clouds churned like living things, heavy with rain and static. Lightning flashed behind tower peaks, throwing brief halos around rooftops where snipers waited. Floodlights swept the streets. Armored trucks rolled like steel beasts through Sector 3. And in the center of it all, Lyra, chained to the steps of an old museum, lit up by drone cameras. A show. A trap. A warning. Mira watched it all from the shadows of a broken parking tower across the street. Beside her, Corin crouched like a statue, fists clenched. The others stayed low, quiet, focused. Riven stood behind Mira, his breath steady, eyes locked on the sky. "They've got 4 turrets," Riven said. 2 roof snipers, auto drones in a sweep pattern, and 3 squads posted in the perimeter. "They want us to come loud," Corin muttered. Mira didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed fixed on Lyra. The girl's head was down, her white hair tangled, blood dried along her jaw. Her breathing was shallow, but she was alive. "We go quiet first," Mira said. "Lyra doesn't die tonight." "And if they start shooting?" one of the hybrids asked, voice tense. "Then we end it." Riven cracked his knuckles. "I'll take the west wall, knock out the turret relay." "I'll handle the rooftop," said the winged hybrid, her voice a whisper. "Get the snipers offline." Mira gave a nod. Then she looked at them all. Not as weapons, not as projects, as people. Strange, broken, powerful people. "This is the first time we fight as one," she said softly. "Remember that." They moved like ghosts. Riven disappeared down an alley. The winged girl shot upward, vanishing into the storm. Corin stalked toward the barricade, dragging a steel pipe like a club. The youngest hybrid stayed by Mira's side, eyes glowing with nervous fire. "You scared?" Mira asked her. "Yes," she said. "Good. Fear keeps us sharp." Seconds passed, then boom. An explosion lit the west side. The turret blinked out. Gunfire snapped to life. Screams followed. The sky roared as the winged hybrid took out both snipers in one swoop. They didn't even see her coming. Mira ran, fast, low, silent. She moved like water, slipping through guard lines before they knew she was there. Bullets flew behind her. Lights exploded. Corin crashed into the front gate, sending soldiers flying like paper. Riven was already at Lyra's side, snapping her chains with his bare hands. "She's hurt," he growled. Mira slid to her knees beside Lyra. The girl looked up, dazed. Her lips cracked into a smile. "You came." "Always," Mira whispered. Then came the sound they all feared. Kill. His boots hit the ground like thunder. His silver armor glinted beneath the lights. The hammer in his hand buzzed with raw solar charge. "This ends now," he barked. Mira stood slowly. "You're right." Cale raised the hammer. "On your knees." "No." He charged. Mira met him head-on. Their clash sent shockwaves through the plaza. Light and shadow collided. His hammer cracked the ground where she had stood, but she was already behind him, claws out, striking deep. They traded blows like titans. Metal screamed. The hybrids closed in, backing her, forming a circle around Lyra. Cale staggered, bleeding but smiling. "You think this matters? The city will burn you out like a virus." Mira's voice was ice. "Then we'll burn brighter." And with one final strike, she shattered his hammer and sent him crashing through the museum steps. Sirens howled in the distance. But for the first time, Mira and her family stood tall. Not hidden, not hunted, just seen. The city didn't sleep anymore. Since the battle at Sector 3, nothing was quiet. Street cameras spun wild. Sirens echoed through empty highways. Every screen across Dalcroze flashed one name. Mira, hybrid anomaly, target priority 1. Deep in the underlayers of the city, where old subway lines curled like ribs beneath a corpse, the hybrids made camp. Generators hummed. Heat coils buzzed. Rainwater dripped through cracks above, painting the floor in slow, steady dots. Mira sat alone near the edge of the platform, watching the pulse of lights down the tunnel. The others were resting or tending to wounds. Lyra slept nearby, safe at last. Riven paced behind her, restless. "They'll come harder next time," he said. Mira nodded. "They always do." He walked over and sat beside her. They were quiet for a while, just listening to the city breathe above them. "Cale's not dead," Riven said finally. "I know. He'll bring more than soldiers next time. They'll bring Ulrich." Mira's jaw clenched. "Good. I've been waiting." Riven looked at her. "Why didn't you kill him back then, when you had the chance?" She didn't answer at first. Then she said softly, "Because part of me still wanted to believe there was something left in him. Something human." Riven shook his head. "He was never human. Not to us." Suddenly, one of the hybrids, a thin boy named Saul, ran in from the far tunnel, breath sharp. "You need to see this," he said. They followed him to a rusted terminal hacked into the city's central feed. A live transmission had broken through the encrypted walls. Someone had forced it into every screen. A face appeared. Not Cale. Not a soldier. Ulrich. Older now, colder. Dressed in a dark, high-collared suit. His eyes glowed silver, not with power, but with control. "To the people of Dalcroze, you are under threat. Hybrids walk among you. Creatures designed to end you. They are not evolution. They are contamination." He gestured. Behind him, 7 stasis pods lit up on a screen. "These were created by my hand, born to unify. Instead, they chose destruction." Mira's hands curled into fists. Ulrich continued. "We are initiating code purge. All known hybrids will be hunted. Their DNA erased from the central chain. This is not vengeance. This is balance." The feed cut. Silence returned. Saul whispered, "What's code purge?" Mira stepped forward. "It means they're not just coming for us. They're coming for every version of us, even the unborn." Koren growled from the shadows. "Then we strike first." "No," Mira said. "We don't play their game. Not this time." Riven stared. "Then what's the plan?" Mira turned to the group. All eyes on her. "We take the chain." Gasps rippled through them. Even Koren stepped back. The chain was myth. The original digital backbone where all enhanced blood data was stored. Locked beneath the sanctum tower. Guarded by machines no one had seen and lived to tell. "You're talking about breaking the spine of the city," Riven said. Mira nodded. "If they want to wipe us from history, we wipe their control first. Destroy the chain. Rewrite the story." "We'll never make it past the outer ring," Koren warned. Mira's voice didn't shake. Then we make a hole big enough that the whole city feels it. She turned to the youngest hybrid, who was already tapping into satellite feeds. Find me the weakest point in the sanctum's firewall. The girl nodded. On it. The others began to prepare. Sharpening claws, charging weapons, wrapping armor. Riven looked at Mira one last time. You sure this is the only way? She met his eyes. No, but it's our way. And somewhere far above them, the sanctum lights began to blink, as if it already knew what was coming. The city burned below the clouds. From the highest towers, drones buzzed like wasps, scanning every rooftop. Streets shimmered with flashing red barricades, but above it all, untouched and towering, stood the sanctum. A pyramid of white steel and glass, humming with hidden power. It was the spine of Dokros, and tonight, they would break it. Mira crouched in the belly of a cargo skiff flying low over the rooftops. Beside her, the hybrid strapped in, focused, ready. Riven stood by the door, checking the magnetic grapples one last time. Wind howled outside. 2 minutes to drop, said Saul from the pilot chair, voice steady. Auto detection is live. If we don't move fast, they'll fry us before we touch steel. Mira nodded. Make it count. The plan was simple. Breach the sanctum's shield gate, enter through the maintenance bay, disable internal security, then hit the core chamber. Destroy the chain. Simple on paper. Suicide in real life. The skiff dipped suddenly, alarms flashing. Turrets opened fire from the tower's surface. Blazing streaks of energy lit the sky. Now, Mira shouted. The team leaped. Mira dove headfirst into the chaos, her body cutting through smoke and gunfire. The grapples locked onto the side of the tower with heavy clanks. Riven was first up, claws digging into the wall as he scaled fast. Corin smashed through a vent panel and dropped inside. Within seconds, they were in. The sanctum's interior was a maze of white corridors and humming glass floors. Light shifted with every step, reacting to their presence. Automated turrets dropped from the ceiling. Soldiers poured in from hidden doors. But they weren't ready. Not for a team that had nothing left to lose. Mira moved like lightning, shadows rippling from her as she darted between walls, slicing through guards with silent precision. Corin tore through blast doors, his fists smashing steel like paper. Riven disabled 2 turrets with his bare hands, electricity burning up his arms as he yanked cables loose. They pushed deeper. Alarms screamed louder. Sol's voice crackled in their ears. You've got 30 seconds before the firewall auto-resets. After that, you're sealed in. Mira reached the core chamber. A circular vault of glowing pillars and floating data spheres. In the center, the chain. A spiraling living archive of every hybrid gene, every record, every lock. This is it, she whispered. The youngest hybrid stepped forward, eyes glowing with code. She placed her hand on the interface. The room shuddered. Lines of light danced across her face. Her pupils dilated. I can rewrite it, she said. Erase the purge protocol. Free every bloodline. Mira nodded. Do it. Behind them, the vault doors exploded. Kale stepped through, armor scorched but alive. He raised a pulse rifle. Step away from the core, he barked. Riven moved to shield Mira. Kale fired. The shot hit Riven square in the chest. He flew back, crashing into a pillar. Mira screamed. Something inside her snapped. She moved faster than thought, her form blurring into shadow and fire. In a flash, she was on Kale, her claws cutting through metal and bone. He hit the ground, bleeding, gasping. Mira leaned close. You tried to erase us, she whispered. But we're not data. We're alive. She stood, turned. The youngest hybrid finished the rewrite. The chain flickered, then fractured. A pulse of blue light burst from the chamber, racing through the walls, through the grid, through every blood tag system across the city. Every hybrid locked in chains, freed. Every surveillance marker, gone. Every purge code, deleted. The sanctum was silent. Riven coughed, alive but weak. Mira helped him up. Did it work? He asked. She looked out the shattered glass wall. Above them, for the first time, the Dalcroze skyline blinked dark. No lights, no control. Just freedom. Yeah, she said. It worked. The city was silent. For hours after the sanctum fell, Dalcroze lay in a shadow deeper than night. No lights flickered. No hum of machines. The pulse of technology had stopped, cut at its root. Mira stood on a rooftop overlooking the vast skyline, her silhouette carved against the faint, bleeding dawn. Beside her, Riven leaned on the cold concrete, bruised but alive. Lyra sat quietly, watching the horizon with wide eyes. The others gathered behind them. Hybrids, werewolves, even a few awakened vampires, free at last from cages seen and unseen. It's not over, Riven said, voice low. They'll come back. Mira nodded. They'd always do. But something had changed. The chains that bound their blood were broken. The city's heart, once a prison, now beat with possibility. Below, the streets stirred. People emerged from shadowed homes, blinking against the pale light. No soldiers, no drones, just quiet faces filled with confusion and hope. Lyra stood. What happens now? She asked. Mira looked at her, eyes softening. Now we build. They had no empire to reclaim, no throne to seize, only the chance to rewrite the rules. Corin cracked his knuckles. What about Ulrich? Kale? Gone, Mira said simply, or broken. They lost their grip. Sol smiled faintly. Then let's make sure no one ever takes it back. A new alliance had formed, forged from fire and blood. Vampires and werewolves, hybrids and humans. Not enemies, but something stronger. Mira reached into her pocket, pulling out a small device. On its screen, words flickered. Project Rebirth. Protocol initiated. It was a call to all who had been hidden, hunted, or forgotten. A promise that no one would fight alone again. This city was built on fear, Mira said, voice rising. On secrets and lies. But fear dies in the light. Riven smiled, strength returning to his step. Then let's bring the dawn. The sun peeked over the horizon, casting warm gold across broken glass and twisted steel. For the first time in 20 years, the future was theirs. And as the city woke, so did its guardians, ready to protect, to heal, to fight if they must. Mira took a deep breath. This was not the end. It was the beginning.